My name is Pierre Masse, and today I want to talk to you about approaching health from a natural, holistic perspective. Now, if you're watching this video, chances are is you're not feeling great, and maybe you're looking at to see what you can do to improve your health situation, or you've been recently diagnosed with some sort of sickness or disease, like a chronic disease, like either diabetes or even cancer, right? And you obviously, the doctors have told you their suggested course of action, and you're here because you want to see what other options you have, right? And I applaud you for that, by the way, for taking the time to see what else there is out there, because that tells me something about you. It tells me that you're the kind of person who wants to make the best educated decision they can about their health and their situation, which is exactly what you should be doing. So you're the kind of person who takes charge, and you're doing your research to make sure that you're doing the right thing. So having said that, let's jump into this and talk about this topic, because this is the mentality you need to have. So I'm going to position myself in a place where I'm not in the way. All right, so this is the picture that I made back in 2022, or even before that even, where I'm showing here like an analogy of a glass of water to your body, to your anatomy, right? And the glass of water, the glass itself represents your body and various systems inside your body. And the water itself and the water level represents the sickness level of your body, your ability to cope with diseases or with the things that are thrown to it to be able to remain healthy. So obviously, when you're in your 20s, anything goes. You can, eat all kinds of junk food, you can party all night, and somehow your body is able to, repair itself overnight, and the next day it's like nothing happened. But as time progresses and you get older, your metabolism, everything starts to slow down. So what you could do in your 20s, you can no longer do in your 40s or 50s, for instance, right? And so forth. So even though, then that's the thing that people tend to forget, right? Well, I was able to do this yesterday and the day before. Why can't I do it today? Because today you've passed that threshold and your body's telling you you can't continue doing what you're doing, right? And so this is what I'm trying to suggest here, right? That the water is level in this glass here represents your ability of your body to tolerate, you could say, bad things, bad behavior. Okay. Now, before we go further into this analogy, I want to talk to you from a perspective of knowledge, of information. So back in 2008, the U.S. government, at the bottom here, you see a link, right? They published this in 2008. This is the NIH, the National Institute of Health. It's a U.S. Department in the government that stated that 95% of cancers are caused by your environment, and about 5% are genetics. So this is huge, especially if you're the kind of person who likes to take charge of things. Because if your cancer, let's say diagnosis, if this is what you have, right? Or if your diabetes diagnosis is, right? What this tells you is you where you are today is a result of decisions that you've made in the past. So your health situation today is a cumulative effect of what you've done in the past. But it does not dictate what can happen moving forward. And because this information here is so clear that 95% of cancers are caused by your environment here means many things. Basically, it means anything that's not genetic, right? So decisions you have made, situations you've been put into, or you've put yourself into, right, has caused this, let's say, cancer diagnosis or diabetes diagnosis that you have, right? So it means that if you reverse those choices, if you start changing the way you do things, then your body should be able to return to health. Okay? So to me, this is very powerful information, because for people who like to be in control and be able to do things on their own, I don't need the medical industry to tell me what to do. I can fix myself by reversing what I've been doing all my life that I was not aware of, that I was causing an impact on my life, on my health. Okay? So let's look at this here, glass of water, for instance, right? So when you're in your 20s, right, anything goes. You're strong, you can party all night, you can eat a lot of junk food, and for whatever reason, the next day you recover, and then you keep going about your day, and you repeat the same thing over and over again, right? But as you get older, your metabolism slows down, and what have you, and your ability for your body to cope, right? In other words, for the water level to remain at this level in the glass here, becomes more difficult, and after a while, the water level starts creeping up above the ideal level that you want, right? And what causes it to go up, in my analogy here, are things that are on the right side in red here, right? So every time you eat processed food, you go to McDonald's, every time you deal with a stressful situation at work or at home, if you're a smoker, all these things, you're adding water into your glass. So you're bringing the water level in the glass higher and higher. And at some point, it overflows. And that overflow triggers disease manifestation, which is what I'm kind of saying at the bottom here, right? So it could be cancer, it could be diabetes, it could be a heart attack, it could be another autoimmune disease, it could be all kinds of things, right? So by doing things on the left side here, on the right side here in red, you're always adding more water to the glass. So the way to heal naturally and holistically, right, is to do the things on the left side, right? Because these things have shown to be able to lower the water level in your glass. Okay? So the more of these things you do on the left, right, the more the water level is going to go back down into the buffer area and hopefully down to your ideal area. So, which means that if you have cancer, if you have diabetes, the more of these things you do, chances are you might be even to reverse your diabetes or bring it down to a lower level, so you have to take less medication, right? But hopefully you might be able to even stop taking medication for your diabetes. Same thing with your cancer. Your cancer might start shrinking to a point where it becomes manageable without having to do chemo radiation, or you might heal altogether. Who knows, right? Everybody's different. Some people can heal, others will not be able to heal, you know? And but that's the point though of this approach, of holistic approach to healing, right? It's not just a question of eating good foods or doing exercise. You gotta review everything in your life. That's the point that I'm trying to make here with this chart, right? With this, not chart, but with this picture. If you do a lot of these things on the left, right, and less things than on the right, then you're on the right path, right? So if all this is new to you, right, and let's say you got diagnosed with cancer, stage 3 cancer, like maybe a month ago, and now all of a sudden you're getting into this whole natural holistic health, right? And you're being bombarded with information that you were not aware of before, or things you need to do that you need to change. And it might become so much that it's overwhelming. And then you almost like hit a wall kind of thing. I don't know what to do next. It's just too much. Of course, nobody's telling you what to do, because really everybody's different. Like there's no doctor that should tell you what to do as far what to do on the holistic side of things. So you have to figure things out on your own, see what works, see what doesn't. But you might get to a point where it's too much. And this is the purpose, you could say, of this picture. All I'm saying is take a step back, and all you need to do is follow my cursor here. See at the bottom it says do more of this, and on the other side do less of this, right? So at the end of the day, that's what you need to focus on. As long as I'm doing more of the things on the left side than I'm doing stuff on the right side, then I'm heading in the right direction. I am not adding water to my glass. I am keeping it where it is, even though it's still overflowing maybe, but I'm definitely not adding water to it, because I'm taking more water out of the glass than I'm adding to it, right? That's what I'm saying here. And I would say to you, the worse your health situation is right now, let's say you have stage 4 cancer, then you really don't want to do anything on the right side here that can add water to this glass. You don't want to do any of that stuff. All you want to do is stuff on the left to bring that glass down as fast as possible, so that your symptoms of your disease or sickness goes down to the point where you're feeling much better. And then maybe, who knows, you might even get healed, right? So this is what this picture is all about, is to show you at a very high level where things stand, right? So at the top here, you can see Healing Strong teaches you what affects the water level. Healing Strong is a nonprofit cancer support organization in the United States. You can go to healingstrong.org to find out more information. I'm part of it. I'm a volunteer for them. I'm a mentor, and I help group leaders around the world support their local participants. And most of these people have cancer diagnosis, or some people are joining just from a prevention perspective. They want to see what it's all about in terms of, maybe if I follow the recommendations of what they're teaching us, I can prevent diseases from ever manifesting, which means you want to keep your water level at the ideal level and not give yourself room in the buffer area here because sometimes things are out of our control. We're going to get hit with trauma. We're going to get hit with a loved one dying at some point, or we're going to get hit with maybe a divorce, things, or you lose your job, you got laid off, right? These things come out of nowhere, or usually out of nowhere, and they have a drastic impact on your health, because stress and all the ones here that have stars can overwrite a lot of the good stuff you're doing on the left, because your body is in fight or flight situation, right? When you're in stress, that's what's happening. And when you're in fight or flight situation, your immune system is kind of put on pause, because technically you're in a dangerous situation. It's not time to heal. It's time to run. It's time to get out. It's time to get out of the danger area. So if your immune system is put on pause because of this situation, then obviously your immune system is not healing you. Your body is not repairing itself, right? So these stressors on your system here have an overriding factor on what you're doing. You could be eating organic food, exercising and all that, but if you're always stressed, I'm not sure how much of an impact this stuff on the left is going to have on your life, right? So you need to definitely address those things, right, on the right side, and not do them or reduce them as much as possible. If that means changing job, moving, and that's what you got to do. If it means reducing your hours at work because you're too stressed, then that's what you got to do. If that means you have to change your job to a lower paying job, do you want to live, or do you want to die, in a few months from now, but making the same salary you're making now, kind of thing? Like, what's the point of living if you're going to die next week, next month, right? These are the kind of questions, and sometimes tough decisions you have to make, right? And healing, just by the stuff you're doing on the left side, let's say you adopt this way of living, right? You're going to do all the things on the left side, very minimal stuff on the right. Your health is not going to change overnight. Right? It's going to take a few weeks, a few months, maybe even a year or two before you see substantial changes happening. Sometimes it's very fast. Sometimes within a few months, like 4 or 5 months, people see a noticeable difference in their health, right? Again, it all depends on the amount. Like, if you want massive results, you need to do massive changes, right? If you do little changes, expect little results, if any, right? But if you do massive changes, then you will see your health turn around in a massive way as well. Okay, so this is what this chart is all about. This, again, I keep saying chart. This picture, and it's an analogy to try to simplify things, and it's also a good place to come back to if you feel overwhelmed. Okay, I just need to do more stuff on the left than on the right, and then with that, at least I'm still doing the right things. All right, so I hope you found this information useful, and I wish you well. Thank you.